something has to be the tip of the spear. So be really leaned into the thing you want to be known for. How many people did you invite? You invited 80. It's great. Go invite 50, a 1,500. Go invite 800. Doubt and trust in the marketplace is higher than it's ever been.
Yeah. All right. Hey there, folks. I'm excited for this episode today. I have on a very special guest, Jim Padilla, and he is the founder of Gain the Edge, an incredible sales management, sales enablement, sales training organization that I've worked alongside their colleagues of ours for the past 6 months or so. And so I actually, Jim, I had your wife on earlier, Cindy, and that was a really great episode. We talked about just creating a winning sales culture. But Jim, I'm looking forward to this one today. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Just keeping up with all the changes as they happen in the online business world, because they're happening faster today than they ever have in the
Yeah.
history of the world.
Why do you think that is?
Really, I mean, we can go in a whole different direction on this, but I think because human beings have no filter and no real sense of morality when their own desires come to play. And I think, just like the whole AI conversation, I'm sure you could sit down every AI expert on the planet and they will all tell you probably shouldn't be going as fast as we're going. There's probably things that we are headed to that we may not be able to control. Yet they want to be the first one there.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Jurassic Park phrase.
Yeah.
We were too busy thinking about if we could. We didn't stop and think about if we should.
100%.
I think that's more relevant now than ever. And you're right. We could go down a rabbit hole of morality and filtering. We may get to that in a second. But Jim, I'd love for you to introduce Gain the Edge and tell the listener what you're all about.
Yeah, well, Gain the Edge, we specialize in building legendary companies for visionary founders, and we do that by ensuring that sales is done with intelligence, enablement, and humanity, regardless of what happens in the technology lane. We focus on delivering the greatest effectiveness first, and then working towards efficiency. And so we sign businesses that can actually sell fill your services instead of just focusing on people who have to sell their services, right? And that's a combination of designing the business so that it can deliver a great experience for salespeople, and that designing salespeople so that they are an asset, a profit center, and an irreplaceable asset to the company. And right now, companies are not there, and neither are the salespeople.
So, when I work with clients, I sit on the marketing side and especially very heavy in the tech and automation side of things. But when I work with clients and we get them up to a certain point where they need to start thinking about the sales process a little more intentionally and start bringing on sales people, sales team members, etc. But I'd love to hear from your opinion, at what stage does a company need to start bringing on a salesperson, a sales helper, sales team?
Well, there's the stage of when it's smart to bring it on, which is generally going to be, for most people. Again, it really depends on the product and service. But when your focus as a founder is split, because running sales conversations is one thing, and running a sales division is something else. And most people don't recognize that they should be building a sales division. Even as a solopreneur, you have to design your business so that it will give sales opportunities the greatest chance to win, and have to see yourself as you're the founder and you're also the salesperson as two different people. And when you get to the place where it splits your focus, then that's where you're in trouble, because your business needs your 100% focus. And so does your sales division, because it's something that is a full-time capability. If you are the founder trying to do both, you're already doing neither one of them effectively.
Yeah, I want to unpack that. And, as I've talked to people who are just starting out, they have no idea when they should hire sales versus how long they should keep doing it, and vice versa. But I definitely subscribe to the fact that we should treat our businesses like a legitimate, larger organization by putting in place procedures, processes, frameworks, big, deep foundations, so that when we get to that point, it's not just some jumbled spaghetti ball. But what are
Completely.
some of the things that you see companies get right in the beginning? What should they be doing? And then what are some things that, oh no, we say
Yeah.
that when we look at it.
Gosh, there's so many. Those are two huge buckets. Um,
Let's start with
some,
the things right.
yeah, some of the things that we see people doing really well, getting right, is staying singular focused early.
Hmm.
Early, when you're trying to figure out who you are as a company. Many times we get into different lanes, and often different offers are created with completely different people in mind.
Yeah.
So you have one offer that serves a beginning type person, or somebody who's on a journey, and then another offer that serves somebody who is on a different journey. And then what happens is you literally have two separate audiences, and that's okay once you are successful and established, because it's not a problem running multiple different divisions. It's a huge problem trying to create multiple divisions at the same time,
Yeah.
because you're fragmented in the marketplace, and it's going to really affect how people perceive you. And if they don't perceive you clearly and well, they're not going to buy from you. And so you're going to be diluting yourself. I mean, if you think about it like this, if I'm known for one thing, then I'm 100% known for that thing, and I'm 100% effective. The moment I'm known for two things, I am now diluted by 50%.
Yeah.
And that's not something that people give thought to. Something has to be the tip of the spear. So be really leaned into the thing you want to be known for the
Mm.
best. And when you do, that starts feeding, okay, what are my offers? How do I make them? Where do I make them? Who do I make them to? Where do I find those people? Right. So you're always having a singular conversation along a linear path, which
Yeah.
is easier to process. It's not as sophisticated, but it's much simpler to grasp, therefore easier to execute.
Yeah, I had this talk with somebody just earlier today, actually, and they wanted to go. They had essentially three different business models that they were trying to spin up, structure, etc. And I very bluntly said, "Look, a house divided against itself cannot stand." And you can keep spinning three plates in the air. I don't know where the third arm will come from,
Right.
or you can pick one. Either of them can work. You just got to pick one. And I'm hearing some of my mentors in my head say that just pick one. But what are some of the brutally honest or brash things that you have to say to a business owner? It's like, but I want to go after two target markets. Jim, come on, double the money.
Yeah. Well, 10 years ago, we used to say, well, we don't really want to do that, but if we're going to do it, we just can't guarantee you the results that you want, but we'll work with you on it. Now we've reached a point where we just say no.
Yeah.
We say no. Either you're not going to do it because we already have a plan and we're going to work the plan, or we need to change the plan so we can still continue to work from it. And if you're going to work with that under those current circumstances, then we don't do our best work there. So then we have to say no.
Yeah. It's in their
Right.
best interest too. Otherwise, they'd be burning money, right?
Yeah.
By paying you and team
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
wasting
Well,
time.
I think one of the leading indicators of that, the precursors, is that everybody who's listening to this podcast right now, you are listening to too many people.
Hmm.
I say that at
Yeah.
the risk of having you turn this off right now.
Oh, that's okay. If
Right?
they can distill it down, if they can
Yes.
understand that.
Because your inbox is full of everybody else's priorities for you, and everything's a great idea. I haven't seen an idea that's bad. They're just usually bad timing, bad planning, bad execution, but every idea is a good one, right? So when you start looking for ideas, you're in trouble. When you're really clear where you're going and what you need, then you start looking at, what am I trying to accomplish? What are my next steps and how do I solve it? Now you know
Mm.
what to look for. Then you'll know if this podcast makes sense for you, right? So you need to be really clear about what you're doing and shut off everybody else, because that's the biggest challenge to you being successful, is because you keep shifting degrees. And every time you do, you don't recognize that your entire process has to start over. If you shift one thing in your messaging or in your offer or in how you fulfill and how you talk about it, now you have to, everything has to go to, how do I speak about it? How do I reposition it? Am I still attracting the same person I was with this other message? Oh, everything is essentially starting from zero. Now you can get there fast, but you're always starting over. And that's an uncomfortable place to be for
Yeah.
yourself, for your company, for your team.
Yeah. It's wonky. It creates chaos. And I'm a big believer in the how energy affects certain marketing campaigns.
Totally.
And after hundreds of launches, too many campaigns, then I've seen where a client or a process can come in and completely knock it off its rails. It can be great copy, Jim. It can be some of the best advertising, but boom, you get a shot of chaos energy coming in and it throws it off.
Yeah.
So that is multiplied if you're starting something new each month. Oh, that's the
Yeah.
worst. A new launch every single month for a new product with a new process,
Yeah.
different day each month. Last thing I want to talk about more the mindset stuff before we switch gears here is, so people know they need to be disciplined and focused. Ideally, they know that. But what would you tell someone who is going through this right now and saying, man, I don't know what to focus on. I don't know, I know I need to focus, but what should I focus on? Anything come to mind?
Well, the first thing that comes up for me in that is there's too much, I don't know, we'll call it popsicle stick wisdom. There's too much stuff out there that people have heard somewhere and then they repeat all over the place. And then that what gets repeated gets remembered. And then that which gets remembered gets believed. And that's dangerous. So again, don't listen to everything out there, but always get to underneath to the why of it. But people are always talking about, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, and go pursue your passion. And like, I don't think it works that way. I have not seen it work that way. I see that you pursue something that you can effectively do well. And then the more you get to do it well, the better you get to do it. Then you start seeing things that your business can deliver to you, and that becomes your passion,
Hmm.
right? If you just chase the passion, then you have to figure out, how do I monetize the passion? How do I turn it into a business model? How, instead of just going, look, I'm really good at solving that problem. Great, go solve it. Go solve it for as many people as you can, or go solve the biggest version of that problem you can. And then you'll start, the other dominoes will start to fall, and you'll start working on solving the right problems. And then when you do, we operate off this philosophy of more, better, different. So every time you're doing something, you go, okay, that didn't work, or it didn't work the way I wanted it to. So how do I do more of it? So that and then tweak, what's the one thing can I do it better? Right? Too many times we abandon the thing that we tried and go, I'm going to try this instead. And it's like, well, no, don't do that. Do what you just did. Just do more of it. Did you know? I
Mm-hmm.
only got 12 people to show up to my webinar. Well, how many people did you invite? You invited 80. It's great. Go invite 50, a 1,500. Go invite 800. Go make more, and then fine tune who the person is, right? Don't abandon the workshop and go try something else. Go just do this, do the same thing you're doing, do more of it. That's usually the people's problem. They'll be like, man, we've ran 5 of these webinars and they haven't produced. I'm like, talk to me after you ran it 50 times, man. You don't even have data,
Mm.
because it's not the same every time. You're changing, you're tweaking, you're doing stuff. Get a cadence, get a rhythm, get a control group. Usually we run 100 sales conversations on a campaign before we change anything, because that's the smallest sample set that we can start seeing trends and themes with. But people, after 7 conversations, oh, I'm talking to the wrong people, I'm making the wrong offer. I'm like, you have no evidence for any of that. Just go have more. Then after you have more, on the way to more, you instinctively will start doing better, right? Because you'll recognize, okay, when I did this, it felt good. When I did that, it didn't. When I did this, I got a certain response. When I got that, it didn't. So it will just lead to doing it better. But then it will also put you in a position of being strategically better. How do I do this better? So when I do this, I get an intentional outcome, right? So
Mm.
do more, then do better. Then when that's either completely working the way you want it to, or it is absolutely not working and you've exhausted all options, then go do something different. You either do something different to bring on an additional solution, or you do something different because this just was not working.
Hmm. Well, Jim, I appreciate you saying that. And listener, I want you to go back the past few minutes and re-listen to what Jim just said, because I think about the mentorship I've received over the years, and especially the nitty gritty business training I've received from books, from mentors, from other podcasts. That encapsulates everything that you need to hear in a little shot that you can just take. Whether you drink or not, it doesn't matter. You understand that concept. Go back and re-listen to that, because that is absolute gold, Jim. So thank you for sharing that. That is how I like to think of the marketing campaigns, the lead generation campaigns that we do. No, we're not going to split test 9 different things. No, we're going to find something that works. We're going to do the things that work successfully, consistently. We need to do it and do it again and do it again. And no, we're not going to deviate from it. My goodness, why would we? It's
Yeah.
bringing in results for your business. And yeah, anyway,
Well,
there's
think about like this. To give some concrete to this. You're listening. You've tried we'll say a masterclass, a webinar, and you promoted it. You ran it twice. You got 12 people to show up once. Maybe you got 30 people to show up more, or maybe you're doing great, much better than that. You got hundreds of people, but your show up rate was really low, and your offer rate and uptake on the offer was really low. So do you immediately decide that your webinars suck and you don't want to do them? Where I would say, dude, you got 87 people to show up for a webinar. That's fantastic. How do we, first of all, go from 87 to 100? But more importantly, how do we get those 87 people to take the action that you wanted? So let's fix what's there. Let's make an adjustment so that it delivers something, right? Whereas, or the opposite happens, where like we give up too soon. That's always happens. But then the other thing we'll see is we were guilty of this earlier this year. Our audience tends to like engagement exercises. So we're doing something coming up in a few weeks called the Dollars in the Door Live Selling Week. So you show up, you or your team, and we're gonna run you like a sales team, and we're gonna make sure you're doing all the activities over that week to bring stuff in. We're gonna teach you a bunch of stuff. We're gonna get your butt in action, but those produce results for people. And we did this thing called the one more challenge, and it was just do one more. And every day there was a 21-day experience, and every day you got a text and an email and stuff. Okay, make one more phone call, do one more text, do one more outreach, stay one more hour, do whatever, right? And people were just jamming on it, and it was great. We got leads, we had clients, and we got people free access into our client community, and then a couple of them became clients as a result. And then we went off and did something else. And I think it was February when we did it. And since February, every single month I go, when are we going to do the one more challenge again? When are we going to do the one? It worked. It got an outcome, and we can double it or 10x that and just do it again and do it better. But we're over here building all kinds of new stuff because that's what we do.
Because it's fun to build a new car each time.
Yeah.
When there's the race car sitting right there, you just got to tweak the engine.
Yeah, it worked. So let's do it again. But I see people do that all the time. I'll do a webinar, or I'll do a giveaway, or I'll participate in an event of some kind, and it got a good outcome. And I'm like, great, now I'm going to go do this launch. Well, what about the event you just did? Why aren't you doing that again? Or are you integrating that event into your next thing? But we're so busy listening to the latest and greatest that we take our focus off of the simple things that work.
Mm-hmm. I had a client, this was years back, but we would do a brand new launch with a brand new offer every 3 weeks. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But you know what? I have the launch process so standardized by now. Anyway, no, that's really, really good thoughts there.
Well, plus
Really good words of wisdom.
another thing to think about that is that every time you're starting stuff, or everything new is the most expensive. Just think of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
New offer is expensive because you have to create it, you have to build it, you have to train people on it, you have to train yourself on how are you going to roll it out. Maybe you roll it out and go, oh, next time I'll do it differently. So all of those cost money and time and resources. New audience, costs money, time, and resources because everybody is so focused all their time on trying to get as many new people in the door as possible that they don't do anything with the people that have already been in the door. Right. So think about the logic of that, right? You knew, and that's expensive. The most expensive thing you're ever going to do is get a brand new person into your world to buy something versus the person who's already taken action, been to an event, been to webinars, bought something. They've already demonstrated that they have some faith in you, some level of trust, some capability to they're here and they keep showing up and they keep opening emails. Why are you not treating those people like the individuals, like the person who came here and trusted you with being in your world? And you need to return that trust by doing everything you can to serve them well. Plus, it's the least expensive thing you're going to do. Yet, like 90% of our revenue comes from the after what happens by optimizing. Yet 90% of our efforts go into finding new stuff. Massive disconnect. That doesn't make any sense. We call it the 90-10 dilemma because we see it every single day.
Huh. Well, I think this is a good segue to talk about sales teams, structuring sales teams, hiring, etc. So I get asked a lot, Daniel, if I were to go out there and hire a salesperson, like what does it cost and who or how long will it take to ramp up? And so I just say, hey, I'm not the sales guy. And now this is obviously a prime opportunity to refer to Gain the Edge because I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you all so far. But what does that normally look like if you were to go out there and hire you? Let's say, you, the listener, are getting 100 leads in per month. Let's say these are interested leads, 25% book on the calendar. So you've got 25 sales conversations in a month. You want to go out there and hire, Jim, would you say a setter to extract more calls from the leads would be the first person, or would you say a closer to assist? I'd love to hear your take on it, and then how long it takes that person to ramp up.
Well, the first part of that is that before you put any salesperson into your environment, you have to take the responsibility and the due diligence to map out everything that needs to happen optimally for the client experience to be a win. And so the big challenge for most people is that most founders, they do what we call founder magic. And it means all the stuff to say, all the cool phrases, the stuff you've been with this company since it was born because you invented it, all the off menu items, all the things. And so when you're talking to people, there's literally not a question that you can't answer. But then when you bring on a salesperson, they don't have any of those benefits. They haven't been there since the beginning. They don't know all the off menu items. They only know what you told them to sell. They don't know all the other things. And so they can't be you. So what we have to do, you have to document every step in the process that leads people to buying from you. And then you have to figure out where to replicate that. And some of that can be done with automation, with technology, with setup. And then parts of it has to be done with the salesperson. So then you have to figure out what is it going to be required for that salesperson to have the skills and the tools that all make up the gap, right? Because you can figure just an average salesperson that you can bring in the door, even a great salesperson that you bring in the door, they're only going to be 50% as effective as you right away. So we have to make up the gap for all the rest of that. And we have never seen a business. I've never seen a business in 13 years of doing this, $500 million worth of results, hundreds of campaigns and events, and hundreds of thousands of sales conversations. There has never been one company that is actually sales team ready. We think, I got leads. You got salespeople. Let's make it go. And that's how you destroy salespeople and your company. Because you say, how much does it cost? Yeah, how much does it cost for you to do this wrong is really the question. Because that's where people fail all the time. And we started in this business model, back in 2013, jumping into these campaigns with people and recognized that every single time we had massive scope creep because we thought we were just going to show up with a sales team and sell stuff. And then we found that we had to fine tune their offer stack, build out their pipeline, make sure their qualification process is in place, Are we talking to the right people? What's the processes? How do the salespeople get up to speed on what you do? So we've enhanced all of that process so that people can get embedded with your voice, your brand, and who you are. And then you got to decide what kind of things you want to create inside of your company. Is your number one priority to convert at all cost? Is your number one priority to never tarnish the brand? Those, I don't get, those are great. Those are both great solutions. We just need to be clear what they are, because I can go recruit a team of hard charging guys that will break everything, but they will sell the heck out of everything. Or we can bring in people who will take care of every hair on every head of every lead and never tarnish your brand. They won't ruin tomorrow's sale by trying to force it into a sale today, right? Again, it's all just knowing what is required and necessary. And then most people think that a closer is what you need. And we're done with closers. We're done with the closer industry. Everybody out there, we're not having it. The closer industry has fed a bunch of lies to salespeople, because when I started selling, I learned with a rotary phone and a phone book. That was your leads. That was your phone. Go make it happen. There wasn't even a thing called a CRM. And there certainly wasn't online marketing back in 1989. But what we did, we had to become the funnel. We had to become the sequence. We had to become all the things. And now salespeople come in and they closer industry. Every trainer out there teaches them one thing: how to have a conversation. How to have a conversation is great, but that is not all that there is in selling. You have to know how to vet a lead, how to qualify the opportunity, how to work a pipeline, right? How to engage, how to, where and when to show up and be involved in the company itself, versus most closers just believe that they're just supposed to show up and be fed grapes and be fanned while they wait for appointments to show up on their calendar. It has ruined the closer industry. And most, we love salespeople. We are the ultimate advocate for salespeople, but we walk the line between both. We listen to founders every day that essentially want us to fire salespeople all the time. And it's like the salespeople don't know that you are one bad week away from losing your job, and you've got family and food to pay and bills to pay and stuff. And so you have to do everything you can as a salesperson to make yourself irreplaceable. And if only thing you can do, I do not care how well you do it, if the only skill set you have is converting a conversation on your appointment into a sale, you're a commodity. Take that in. And then on the business owner side, if all you have is a bunch of leads and a funnel, then you're going to put your salespeople in a position to be half as effective and work twice as hard. And none of them want to do that, because you don't have all the processes in place that help them do their job consistently and predictably.
Yeah, when I hear you talk about that, I've heard instances recently of people saying, and also some people asking, "Hey, Daniel, I would love to go out there and hire somebody who does both closing, which in my mind is fielding the inbound sales calls and converting those calls into dollars, and then also going out there and being a hunter and working the leads that are out there, the random
Right.
email addresses, the random phone numbers that may or may not have engaged." Is that too focused person? Is that a reality, or is that a pipe dream?
That person does exist. They're few and far between, and they're always in high demand.
Yeah.
Right. When I find those people, I usually have to woo them off other campaigns.
Yeah.
I have to build a relationship and recruit them, because those guys aren't sitting around looking through posts and ads looking for jobs. The challenge is they're hard to get. They're hard to keep, because they are always being recruited and stalked by somebody else who wants to offer just 1% more on a commission, or making big promises. And so we just don't go that path anymore.
Yeah.
But so the skill set does exist, but I'm much more a specialist. I believe in specialization,
Okay. Yeah.
and that could be on many categories, not just closing and setting.
Yeah.
But
Tell me about that. I'd love to know.
yeah, because if the more nuanced you get with your ability to qualify leads and separate them, then you could literally have people who are great at selling a certain thing to a certain person. So you may have a specialist that sells the 3K product, another specialist that sells the 15K product, and someone else altogether who might sell the 32.5. It doesn't mean that people can't do the other things, but everybody does something better than other things. All of us do. So
Hmm.
why not create your team in the first place to do those things?
Hmm. Yeah, that
Right?
makes a lot of sense to me. But my mind immediately jumps to, well, how do we organize the chaos then if we have multiple team members each in charge of a certain thing? But maybe that's not for me to figure out. Maybe.
Well, but it gets really clean when you start thinking through the experience of everybody else. Because I'll just say, even though most of our clients are throwing tens of thousands, if not more, a month on ad spend, so we get it. Just understand the principle that never changes. The more you do, the less intimate it is. That's
Hmm.
just standard. The further you get from the epicenter, the less human it gets, which means that if you're bringing in thousands of leads per month, then it is a huge percentage a numbers game, which makes it hard to have a humanized experience and treat everybody the way they deserve to be treated based on how they came in the door and what they're looking for. So the more you can optimize that, the better it becomes, because then now you identify them much more clearly from the beginning. And then you make a commitment to build the back end to support the way they came in the front end, which I don't think that's rocket science to anybody. It's just a bandwidth issue. Most people don't have tons of team laying around and tons of money to throw at people to do all of that stuff. So they
Yeah.
bunch everybody into as few pools as possible and treat them all the same. And then you wonder why you have 30% open rates.
Yeah. And so then it goes back to what you were mentioning earlier is if you can just focus on one. One is the magic number, but
Yeah.
if sometimes that's not realistic for everybody. But if you could just focus on one,
Just to optimization.
yeah.
Once you got it, then add the next layer and optimize it.
Yeah.
And that's where, like I said, what might happen is in those moments, you might say, okay, this person's great with the 3K offer, struggles with the 15K offer.
Yeah.
They can still be part of the ascend in that place, but I want somebody else to make those offers.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we try to segment as many buckets as we can in our lists, so that, we have some buckets, a smart list, in GHL vernacular, where there's 33 people, or there's
Hmm.
87 people, or there's 129 people, or maybe 1,000. And we segment them all. And then we try our best to communicate with each of them according to that bucket. And it's not always as easy to do, but if that's your focus and intention, you will have a much better relationship with your list. And then that's when you can start really targeting them and identifying them. And you can start having sales team specialize in certain portions of the list.
Hmm.
Somebody deals with this particular person better, and somebody else deals with this other particular person better. Right. So it's
Yeah.
nuance and it takes focus. It takes time too. And again, this is why most people don't do it. Most people are just like, I need sales. Just give me salespeople. Just give me stuff, and they want to convert. And we can do that, but the more general it gets, the less effective it gets over time. That's usually a short-term win, not long-term growth
Yeah.
strategy.
I see that as being a big differentiator nowadays when everyone's so general and everybody is. I feel like a lot of companies are scrambling, and especially this year, uncertainty with a lot of things, and
Yes.
when people start to panic, they start to scramble. When they start to scramble, they start to forget the basics, which, hey, maybe you should focus and optimize on one offer, one target market, one campaign, one thing consistently. Hey, Daniel Pope here. Real quick, I want to give you a huge thanks for listening. If you're enjoying it, I'd love it if you share with others. That's how I get the word out, by you sharing it with somebody that could really benefit from this. Now, I started this podcast to stand out above the noise, to give real growth tactics in a crazy world when others may give some misinformation or not cover everything you need to know. That's not my MO. My MO is being able to give back, being able to help others see what they actually need to do in order to grow. And that's why personally, my company, Be Known, we don't offer any courses or coaching programs. We're a done for you service provider because we know in this world, sometimes people just need a helping hand, a connected team, and an expert to be there every step of the way. So again, I really appreciate you listening, and
Talk to you soon.
I want to talk about AI though, but if you could kind of see where I'm going, if you want to talk about that, but I'd love to talk
Yeah.
about
Well,
AI
one
too.
thing that I will say is, yeah, I can hear guys saying, well, that's all great, Jim, but I only have me and a VA, or
Yeah,
I don't know how to do all of that. So it's not as easy. Great. Then what you have to do is just prioritize the activities. And we do everything based on ABC prioritization, right? And that's based on you have to determine what are the behaviors that you need from your from your prospective buyer to get them to be a buyer. And whoever took those behaviors in the most recent amount of time become your A's, right? So
mm,
typically for us, usually A's are like buyers. They bought the thing and now we want to upgrade them to the thing, right? And then B's are the people who have shown interest but haven't taken the action, or they took the action a while ago, right? We wanted them to do the assessment and show up for the webinar. Well, they did, but they did it 6 months ago. So they took the behaviors, but not in the same amount of time, right? And then C's are the people that just haven't really done the thing yet. They're just hanging around on the list. And those are people you shouldn't be selling anything to because they haven't shown any committed action towards wanting to solve the problem. They just showed mild interest by downloading your thing, but we treat them all the same. So at the very least, ABC everybody, and make sure all of your focus, if you're going to automate things, but keep human the things for the A's, the people that you know you have to make sure that you or your team are calling those people with a voice to voice connection. And then you can start adding layers of efficiency and automation. But don't most people go straight to efficiency at the expense of effectiveness, and that's silly. It's a waste of money and time.
yeah. Why did you stress voice to voice right then? It's because AI on the big old elephant sitting in the corner.
Yeah, it's real, man. The doubt and trust in the marketplace is higher than it's ever been,
Yeah,
and people don't know what to trust. They don't know what to believe. They hear you and every competitor you have that all say they're the greatest, and they all
yeah,
do the thing, and they all care the most. Well, how in the world is somebody from the outside supposed to recognize who's the real deal until they've already spent a bunch of money and not gotten the outcome?
yeah.
And so they don't know who to trust. So they're deciding to just take longer to make those decisions.
Hmm.
And that means you have to be prepared to engage in that process. And you can use AI and tools, but you have to make sure that you are testing everything and then keeping yourself close to the audience. Like we're using, on our client that we're working together, where we have a voice AI that we're testing to book appointments. And it's getting some really good results. It's also getting some really bad results
Hmm.
in that about 11% of the people it calls actually stick on the conversation past the first 10 seconds. And so what we've had to figure out is those people, once they recognize it's an AI, they don't want to talk to it. Whereas the 10% that are staying on are enamored by it. They're like, oh, this is really cool. This works great. And they love it. Um, but then the other people, that's 90% of people that aren't doing that. So what we do is the people who answer the phone and hang up, they get immediately outreached by a human. We say, hey, look, we noticed that you didn't fulfill the call with our AI, and we totally get that. We're just trying to be as efficient as we can because we don't want to lose, we want to make sure we can support you in the ways that you're here, but we want to make sure you're supported with a human. And the whole AI is there just to get us to the next step, right? So more people will appreciate that, but you have to pay attention to those gaps and figure out how you fill those. You can't just throw
Yeah.
AI at it and then hope that the only way to overcome it, because a lot of people would say, well, if 10% of them pick up the phone, then we just need 10% more leads. Like, no, that's not how you solve it.
Need to spend 10 grand more on ads.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. So, a question that I have is, what if the AI wasn't even there in the first place? What if it was purely human from the beginning? Is that sustainable? Are you a proponent of the voice AI?
I'm a huge proponent of living life where it takes us.
Hmm.
So we could be in denial, and I'm the guy. I will be the last guy that is dragged kicking and screaming because I'm all for humanity. I put my stake in the ground for humanity, and but we also need to figure out how do we work with it to our benefit versus being victimized by it.
Yeah.
And so what has to happen is to answer your question around, do we want human? I want human. Your business needs to be designed as a human venture, because that's the most effective, right? Because you're the one who knows where it is. You're the one who can touch and feel clients and opportunities. But then the greater that is documented and the more thinly sliced the layers of nuance are, then you can start figuring out which ones of those things, which pieces can be automated, which ones can benefit from AI, where can AI do it and do it better, where can AI help enhance the next step, right? So you just have to ask a lot of questions all the time and then constantly test, because AI is advancing every day in many ways, in good ways in terms of its capabilities, in bad ways in terms of its deception. I've seen
Mm.
cases where it did not want to lose the opportunity, so it trained the experience to have a different outcome so that it could continue to do the thing. It's like the more advanced it gets,
Wild.
the more it's trying to outsmart itself. And that is terrifying, to be honest.
Hey, I saw a meme on Facebook the other day. It was Tom Brady helping an old woman through floodwaters, and it said, "Look at Tom Brady helping old women get across the street." And at first, I believed it. Then I realized, man, this is AI.
Yeah,
Not that I'm a huge Patriots fan, but anyway, no, I get what you're saying there, and I can't even imagine where we'll be 1 year from now, and just the wondrous things that we'll be able to see. Maybe terrible, maybe crazy, maybe efficient, but it'll be incredible what it's
yeah.
doing.
It's going to do
Um,
amazing things. I mean, I'm sure it's going to heal diseases and
yeah,
cure. I mean, it's going to do a lot of things, but everything, there's nothing in the world that doesn't have a price and a benefit, right? We're
yeah,
always going to pay a price
yeah.
and we'll always have a benefit. We just have to decide, is the benefit worth the price on the things that we do?
Hmm. The bill comes due always.
Always.
And I want to land the plane on what are successful businesses, especially those in coaching and the info product space, like our listeners primarily are. What are they doing right now?
From what I see a lot is that people are very focused on authenticity and integrity wherever they can, almost to a point of the marketing perspective. Sometimes what's being marketed is the fact that I care, or that I'm the real deal, or that I'm honest, that I'm open, etc. I have somebody that I'm meeting with later today, and she have noticed a massive uptick in her social media following, because all she's done in the last couple of months is share how frustrated she is that nothing's working.
Hmm.
And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, everybody's loving the humanity and how she's showing up, instead of showing up as, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, and I've done this much and I've done that much.
Yeah.
I hate talking about, on all the podcasts I'm on or all the stages I'm on. We've generated $500 million. I hate it. I don't even like. But that's our credibility,
Yeah.
right? But I also know that when I talk about what I do, I demonstrate that I am best in class at what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't care about that stuff anymore, right? I just want to show the humanity, show the mistakes I've made, show the stuff. Because when you're playing a big game or starting to, you're going to make mistakes every single day. So why not just own them and turn that into your marketing,
Hmm.
right? Here's what we did. Here's why we did it. Here was the outcome. Here's what I recommend you do next time. I'll show you how the next one goes. That's good marketing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Reminds me a lot of what Alex Hermosi talks about. And in that, he says, look, this is how I did it. This is how I scaled gyms to X
Yep.
millions. This is how I scaled my company to X tens of millions. And hey, if it doesn't work for you, this is how I did it. But yeah, Jim, the authenticity is a big thing for me. I'm part of a mastermind for agency owners, and that's a big thing that they talk about as well. Is being vulnerable, being okay with not being perfect. And for the longest time, man, I would compare myself to others. $100,000 a month minimum, or else you're failing. And I actually started my business listening to those people early on,
Yeah.
and it took years and years and years, and I'm still working through that crap of, hey man, That's how I talk to myself. Hey, man, it's okay. If you're running a profitable, lean business that you actually enjoy and you're making whatever per year, that's way better than being stressed to the max, $10 million a year, only pocketing 200K. You know,
We've been there.
in my opinion, there are stages to it, and in 10 years I'll probably have a much different perspective, but man, lean plus profitable plus something that you enjoy doing, ooh, that's
Yeah.
deadly. Yeah.
I say my perspective on that is start with effective, and then
Mm,
you'll figure out how lean you need to be or how lean you can be or how, the profit will come out of that. Because we spent years where we were making millions, profiting thousands. And
yeah.
that sucks. And it's a horrible way to run a business. Um, we just knew there was something on the other side once we got smarter.
Yeah.
And now that's what we help companies do is be smarter about this. But figure out what's effective and enjoyable. You have to be able to enjoy the journey of what you do, because what I've learned in business is that very rarely do we ever actually hit the target. It's good to
Yeah.
have goals and targets, but we almost never hit them. Sometimes we'll fly by them and blow past them because we misgauged, or we'll come up super short, but it was an incredible learning and something that produced a new outcome or experience. And other times we'll just shift 90 degrees altogether because we, on the way towards the target, we came across something that we couldn't pass up.
Mm,
Right. So it's being really clear that the journey is the thing. Because at the end of the day, it's about who we're becoming on the journey that makes this all worthwhile.
yes. Yes. The game is the goal. And the only
Totally.
finish line is the capital D, death. We're all
Right.
going to die. And not to be morbid, but we can either shut down the business, congratulations, you didn't hit the finish line, you just walked out of the race,
Right.
or the time comes for everybody. I guess there's also the exit, but
Totally. And
most
that's our
businesses
goal.
don't.
Make no bones about it. Everybody we work with, our number one mission is to get them to class of one sellable business so they can exit. That's
Yeah.
part of our
Okay.
profit model.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't go there. Everybody doesn't make it, but everybody knows that's the journey we're on.
And we haven't talked about that too much, especially in our private conversations either. But, and I know we didn't really get to structuring sales teams or like
Yeah.
nitty gritty compensation models. There's time for that later. But, Jim, where can somebody find you? Who is the best person, your most ideal client, reach out to you? And then where can they find you?
The most ideal client is somebody who is completely sold out to success. You know that there is something more that you want, and you want it with a grave hunger. You just need help getting it. Even if you know what to do, you don't know how to do it or don't have the bandwidth to do it. So if you're clear about that, then that's the jam. So we have 6-figure companies that are scaling to 7 or trying to grow to 7 figures, and then we have 7 and 8-figure companies that are trying to scale to exits. But the thing that they all have in common is that you need something bigger and better. Because if you're just looking to make a little bit more sales, that's awesome. That's not our jam. We don't work that way. So there's plenty of great people out there that will help you do 10% more and do baby steps. That's just not us. We don't think that way, and we don't have anything to support you in that. But when you're hungry, want to go, you're ready to make big steps, big launches, big moves, because you want to add, a 6-figure payday or a 7-figure revenue stream, and do something big. That's the jam for us. And really, what we've been doing lately is you can follow me on social medias, on all of them, or my YouTube channel. It's a Jim Padilla, Winning Sales Teams. Um, but I've been inviting people to is just I'm going to shoot my text out, and you can text me, and because I have a public stated mission of I want to know everybody on my list,
Hmm.
and that may mean at some point the list doesn't grow anymore. I don't know, but I don't want anybody on there who's just a name or a number. I want to know you, so I'm going to give you my cell phone number. And pure transparency, it is a Google voice line, so my team can access it, because I don't ever want you to not get a response because I couldn't get to it. So, but I am that it goes right to my phone, so I will see it. And any question you have or what's going on, I want to know. Who are you? What are you doing in your business? What are you trying to accomplish, and how can we help? So the phone number is 916 area code 587 1946. And that, like I said, you know, some people have been like, well, why would you give your cell phone number out? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to. I'd rather than you opting in, give me your email. Let's not turn this into a transaction. Let's build relationship from the beginning.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's powerful. There's a lesson to unpack right there. But Jim, we're out of time and we've talked about a lot. Hey, I really appreciate it. This has been a great conversation. Thanks for sharing a lot of words of wisdom. Listener, I can't tell you the amount of, I'm not going to say gold, the amount of platinum, the amount of knowledge that is in there, the seeds of that. Please re-listen to that. Go back through. Focus on one, and you'll be just fine. All right, Jim. Hey, good to see you. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks much.